Professor Adam, first European black belt IBJJF champion. We watched you. I made sure because some of the matches, right, the open weight wasn't gonna happen. The final one, right, the final thing. And I was like, oh, Adam, waiting for Adam. And then as soon as I waited for your match, and then you delivered. I think he started with the sweep first, right, and then he swept him back, and then mounted and submitted.
Yeah. We exchanged some sweeps, and then I was able to break through and hit my signature butterfly, slide right into mount and submit. Yeah. But it's a cool story.
What a story.
Still, sometimes you know how it is. You win, and all those feelings are like going away with time, and they're like fading pretty quickly, right? But sometimes I like to watch that final match just to feel the same, like just a bit of that emotions that I felt there after winning. Yeah, that was something cool.
Yeah. Wow. You know, how many worlds have you done at black belt?
I think it could be like 6 or 7, and I don't know. There was always something missing. You know, like it was like some seasons were better, some seasons were worse, but I was always like placing like at the majors, right? So I was placing at the Europeans and Pans, and with Wells was always something not working right, you know, like sometimes was the bracket, sometimes I didn't feel right, and this and that, and I was always like coming short, you know, and this time everything clicked. So I just feel like maybe it's a like reward that I stayed on track, and I keep going and keep pushing, and eventually I break through, you know.
Man, what a look at the history of all the black belt world champions. It's Brazilian, maybe a couple Americans, right?
Yeah.
And then Poland.
Yeah. I stand out, and I was talking with IBJJF after that. Like I gave them an interview, and I said like I think that in general it's a good thing for the whole community to see an European going to the top of the podium, because you know, before something like this happens, you never know if it's actually possible, you know, like the sport is still pretty young in Europe, and I feel like many people don't take it as seriously as people in US and Brazil. So you never know if it's possible until somebody does it, right? And I just hope that it will give courage and hope to a lot more people coming up, because we have some great competitors coming up on like color belts, but for some reasons many of them disappearing before the black belt or on the black belt level. So you know, I hope it will change, and the more we go global with jiu-jitsu, like the more champions we can bring from different parts of the world, the better for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. What kept you in the game? What kept you focused on the journey?
No, what kept me focused?
Yeah. You say some people go to the side, right? Maybe they have to work, maybe the responsibilities, who knows?
Yeah, I was always like very focused, because that was my life, you know. Like, you know, I was looking at jiu-jitsu and what I accomplished before that, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing pretty well, and I can have a decent living from jiu-jitsu. So why would I depart? You know, it's a great lifestyle. It's better than anything else. So, and it's a great adventure on top of that. So let's just keep trying. And you know, like at some point I was like, I had this like talk with myself inside, and I'm like, well, maybe I will never be a world champion. It can happen, you know, and you have to like at some point, especially when you're getting a little bit older, you have to accept it that it may not happen, and you can't think like this is the only ultimate thing you can achieve and there's nothing else, you know, like It's like with rock bands. Some rock bands, they get so big and they're gonna fill up the stadium, but it doesn't mean there's no place for like a smaller bands, right? There's still like bands playing clubs and they're doing okay. They're doing really good. So, sometimes you have to accept that you're not gonna be that big star filling up the stadium. Sometimes you're just like the one playing in the club, but it doesn't mean you don't have a fun along the ride. You have fun. So that was me. I was like, yeah, let's just keep going and see, if at some point I'm going to get to the age where I'm going to start feeling like, oh, I can't keep up with those young guys, then I'm going to, go to masters or retire entirely, and that'll be it, and if there's no world title, there's no world title. If we get one, that's awesome. And yeah, fortunately, we got one.
Yeah. Wow. Many years I did a summer camp in Poland, and I learned a lot of things about Poland. The people are amazing, so friendly, and just very hospitable. And it was like by the North Sea, in a lake,
Yeah.
And I learned that has the most black belts per capita, like in Europe. Poland.
Yeah, that can be true. Yeah, we're pretty obsessed with jiu-jitsu because there's something about Polish people. We like combat sports in general. We like to fight, and I want to believe we're pretty tough people because of the history, not only like recent history like world wars and being under like Soviet regime, which was like terrible for us, but even before, the history was always rough. We always been stuck in like between big powers in Europe, so we've been always like like rising to the top, and when we get like too powerful, the war was coming and we're like like getting small, and we have to like stand our ground and fight back. So I think there's a lot of like into it that we like to fight, and we feel like pride in fighting and being tough. And yeah, like combat sports are big in Poland, and I feel like judo and wrestling had a time before. But if you think about it, there's no much opportunities for like older people. Like, I mean, older, like 30 years old. There's not many opportunities when you're like doing judo or wrestling, right? These are sports for young people in general. So if you start,
you grew up as a kid doing it.
yeah. If you start late, there's no career path for you. And jiu-jitsu is pretty different because we with all the belts levels and age levels, you can still compete and win stuff, win titles in your age division and your belt division. So you can feel accomplished. And jiu-jitsu is like, there's way more pleasure in doing jiu-jitsu than wrestling and judo, I guess. Like, I never trained judo for like judo national team or wrestling for wrestling national team, but from a little bit that we got in jiu-jitsu, I can say that, well, like wrestling and judo are rough, like they're painful, and if the stand-up game is the only thing you do, it's hard on body. Like how many times you can fall on the mats during one training, right? And judo probably like, I don't know, like 100 times.
The whole practice, yeah.
Yeah. And in jiu-jitsu, how many times you're gonna fall to the mats? Like maybe 2-3 times during the practice. So it's way less painful and way more playful. And that's a big factor that keeps people in jiu-jitsu despite getting older.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, my daughter started wrestling, right? And so I've gotten totally into just that world, right? And I love the sport. I love like wrestling. I love judo as well.
Yeah,
But,
they're awesome.
But like nothing compares to the lifestyle that jiu-jitsu gives you.
Oh yeah. And yeah, it's a lifestyle that you can keep throughout your whole life, basically. And I believe that jiu-jitsu people, very often they're like the biggest fans of judo and wrestling.
Yep.
Because I can say what I see in Poland, right? Wrestling in the US is a different story because you got college wrestling and there's like crowds coming to see the matches, but it's a little bit different in Poland. It feels like as soon as people who train hit certain age, they're just departing from the sport, and they they're not following the sport that much, like the way we see in jiu-jitsu. And like the big part of that is jiu-jitsu people are still active in a sport, so it's easier to follow. And what's more is jiu-jitsu is like, it's big on learning. We have like such a huge learning culture. And like I feel like wrestling competitors and coaches and judo competitors and coaches, they're taking benefit out of that as well, because we're so obsessed in every form of grappling that we're going to be craving that knowledge as well. Like, of course, once we get to jiu-jitsu, we're like all about the ground game, and then we're like, hey, what else we got there? Hey, it's a stand-up game. Let's learn some. And like everybody, the whole grappling world is taking benefits out of our learning culture, and I feel it's great.
It's good for everybody, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So let's go back in time, right? You're originally from Poznan?
Yeah, Poznan.
So how did it begin for you? How did you get involved with jiu-jitsu, and how did it all start?
So I started with traditional martial arts as a teenager. My parents actually put me in a Aikido, and we did some of like classic traditional jiu-jitsu as well, Japanese jiu-jitsu. But they put me there because I had that idea. My friends were big in like live role-playing thing where you like run in the forest and you have like a wooden sword and you fight with other people, and you're like pretending like you're a fantasy character. And I'm a big nerd, so I'm like, I want to be a fantasy character as well.
They have like big world championships for those kind of things where they have armor on, and they go with the sword.
Exactly.
People travel all over the world for those things.
Yeah, so that was the thing I wanted to do, but my parents are like, we don't know if it's very safe to just go to the woods and fight with the wooden swords. So you know what? Let's take your energy and enthusiasm and let's maybe put it somewhere. Let's channel it towards like a better way, And they put me in Aikido because the part of Aikido is like sword fighting and stick fighting. So I had fun with it for a couple years. But, for me, it was like I was always a very competitive person, and it was hard for me to accept that there's no way to see if you're really good in what you're doing because you only practicing the form. So it's always like the tasks are assigned. So you're attacking, I'm defending, you're doing this, I'm doing that, and that's the end of the story. So when I was like getting to my 18 years old, it was harder and harder for me to accept that. And then I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna just go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially because
at 18.
Yeah, some friends of mine already started to train, so I'm like, all right, I have to get there as well. And from the first class, actually, it was like, this is it. This is kind of like the thing I wanna do, And I stayed forever.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm friends with Jacob, right? He is the Gracie Baja in Poznan.
Yeah.
And wow, it's a small world. One of my really good friends, he travels out here. He was working for Pfizer. He was a younger guy, and he lived in Poznan as well. And he would always come out here every year.
Yeah. I think I know the guy.
Philip?
He was training with us for a little while as well. Yeah. It's a small world. Jiu-Jitsu is a small world, and like everybody knows somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then how did you get, like, I remember like going to the first tournaments and just be like, just opening up the mind. What were the steps like starting to compete and things like that?
I started jiu-jitsu right before summer vacations, and summer vacations in Europe are usually very lazy period of time. There's not much thing going on in Europe during vacation. I mean, you can train obviously, but there's no competition in general. It's changing slowly, but back in the days it was nothing. So I just like spent the whole vacation like training 2 times a day and like having fun and kind of like preparing myself that once the season starts, I'm gonna start competing. And I went to my first competition, was like a very small one and local thing.
In Poznan?
No, it was like 100 kilometers outside of Poznan.
Okay.
And well, it wasn't very like good experience. I mean, it was a good experience, but I didn't feel that way at that time because I'm like I said, I'm very competitive, and I lost my first match, and it was kind of a close match. There was a lot of like scrambling, and I didn't understand the pointing system quite well, so I didn't know why did I lose, and yeah, but I lost the first fight. And obviously I was like, very sad about it. But I kind of like
You were still a white belt?
yeah. Yeah, I was white belt. I was training like 6 months or so. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do that again. So then I went to Polish Nationals and I won 4 fights and I got bronze. So, like if you look back at it, like bronze, it's not the big thing. But just winning couple matches and getting that medal,
Getting the confidence.
gave me like a confidence boost. Like, oh yeah, you can win something. So yeah, let's just keep going. And like there is something about competition. It's like you're hating it and you're loving it. So it's like a bittersweet relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's a mixture of like stress and anxiety, but also like euphoria if you win. So it can be very addictive, and I think I got pretty addicted to that. And also I got this like collector syndrome. So when I started to win medals, I'm like, oh, I want more medals. I want to like grow my collection. Let's see where else I can compete. So throughout like white belt, blue belt, and purple, and basically brown as well, I was competing a lot. Like I was competing everywhere around the Europe, and I started to compete outside of Europe as well, like Abu Dhabi and Worlds. But yeah, I was very, very active, and I think it gave me like a lot of good experience because, well, we did some crazy trips. Like we've been going to like me and my friends, we took a bus and we drove all the way through the Germany, like 8 hours or 10 hours to a competition venue. We did one competition on Saturday. Right after competition, we went to the bus. We drove to Munich, like 5 hours or so. And on Sunday, we've been competing in another event,
Yeah, yeah.
So, like,
That's how you get really good. That's how you get experience, right?
yeah. But also, that also tells you, like, what was the level of addiction? Like, like, let's not stick to one event over the weekend. Let's do 2 events, and I feel like they gave me like such a big confidence boost when I was like walking into my black belt level, and also such a good experience, amount of experience, because you're like, well, sometimes you're going to be like at the local tournament and you're going to fight people who are not that good, but you can still like, get confidence in your moves by, applying them. And then you go to like big stage and you fight those good guys because, they're every like IBJJF Open, Europeans, and worlds. You have those people who are like, they're traveling all over the world competing already, like being a color belts, right? So you're like meeting these people here and there and exchanging losses and victories with them, and just building up the experience and skill for the black belt, because as a competitor, that's the ultimate goal. You want to get to a black belt, and you want to get there like not burned out and injured. You want to get there healthy, confident, skillful, and you want to start winning that. So, yeah.
Yeah. What was like the breakthrough for you, competing wise? When you're like, man, I can really do this.
I had a couple breakthroughs in my career. I feel like for me, the thing that was working well always was like going through stages, like climbing stairs. So I never did like too big of a step. I was always stepping like one step at the time. So my first kind of like breakthrough was when I won my Polish national title for the first time, and right after that I got promoted to brown belt, and then I won Europeans. So that was like the second, like one after another, because that gave me a confidence, like, oh, I can be very good at the Polish level, and then right away, I got that confidence that I can be good at European level. And then, like I said, I was competing a lot, and then finally I was able to win some medals at like outside of Europe. And I'm like, all right, I can.
Which were some of the places you went to? Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah. Mostly it was U.S. and Abu Dhabi. I started to go to Brazil when I was black belt as well, fighting there. But yeah, like it started with Abu Dhabi and U.S. and placing here and there, like gave me a confidence that I can stick with those guys. And I got my black belt, and I was medaling. Like I told you before, almost everywhere, but not worlds. And like it builds you up, kind of like gives you that this thought, like, oh, you can do well amongst those black belts. So just keep trying, And I think the biggest breakthrough was in 2019. That was the year when my wife she got pregnant, and we were waiting for our son, and then I had that conclusion that what, it's like it's time to focus on important things, So let's put all my energy into things I value the most, which is gonna be my family that I'm just creating right now, and jiu-jitsu, and let's not sidetrack that energy anywhere else, and let's see what's gonna happen. And from that year, I started to win like big titles on black belt. I won. It started with no gi worlds, and then followed by Europeans, World Pro, and then after that whole like pandemic time, I was able to capture a couple more, leading to my world title this year. So this was like the big thing, like realization that your energy is not like you don't have like infinite source of energy.
Dispersed, right? Spread out too much.
Yeah, exactly. You have to channel your.
So you focus on like maybe like the big tournaments, the ones that are most valuable. Is that?
I mean, focus more on the like just jiu-jitsu and family, and
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Yeah, because this is like, at the end of the day, this is what matters to me, and yeah, like when you realize that you're like, especially like young people, they think like they have energy for everything. So they can go party, they can do this and that, and they can still train, and they can still win tournaments. And when you're like young and full of life and very vital, you think it works that way. But in reality, it's not. And you see so many young people getting burned out and sidetracked because of that, because of their spending energy in the areas that they shouldn't. It's not the most beneficial for them. But sometimes when you're young, it's hard to realize that, because, like you think you got so much time and so much opportunities ahead of you, but the time's passing fast, So I feel like the sooner you realize that you really need to channel your focus to achieve something, the better, And it came to me like when I was like 28, 29.
When you're gonna have your son.
Yeah. So I wasn't the youngest when I get that when I realized that, but young enough to still achieve.
When you were the beginning in your 20s, right? You're competing. What did your parents think? Did they want you to go a different way, or jiu-jitsu's?
Oh yeah.
They don't know what that means, right? Even.
Yeah. Coming up from like a traditional family where like everybody has a regular job, and then you're this black sheep of a family coming up with the idea that you're gonna be a jiu-jitsu athlete. Like, wait a minute, it's not even a real sport. It's like it's not Olympic sport. Where did you get that from? Like, how can you even live with that? And my parents were not very happy with my life choice. But I was still studying, so I kept that second option.
You were still in university a little bit?
Yeah. So, and I graduated.
Okay.
And, so I graduated in chemical engineering. And when I was studying, I already knew that I'm not going to do anything with that. But, sometimes it's just good to have a paper.
Sure.
Sometimes it's just good to have a second option in case something happens.
And keep your parents happy too, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And keep your parents happy, and maybe not even happy, but at least they feel like there is a second option for you when something goes wrong. But the time was passing and I was doing pretty well.
So maybe it was more for them more than you, because you already knew what you were gonna do. You knew the path you were gonna take.
Yeah, kinda. But like studying didn't take away my focus and didn't take away much time. So I'm like, all right, I can totally connect these two, and I can graduate and I can still train like 2 times a day. So that's okay. I'm gonna be fine here. Yeah, and like when I was like approaching the time when I'll graduate, I started like earn through jiu-jitsu pretty well, like enough to have a pretty good life in Poland, and so that gave me a confidence. Like, all right, if we do good now, probably we can do even better later, And I remember it's a pretty funny story that I graduated and I had that idea that I'm gonna get a regular job just to earn a little bit more money to support my my jiu-jitsu lifestyle, right? So sometimes you have to do that because especially at the beginning when you're not earning that much, and like crossing the ocean and going to US, there's a lot of money involved in that, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get that regular job and I'm gonna support my jiu-jitsu lifestyle through that.
Especially probably in Poland too, right? It's a lot different than opportunities here in the US.
Yeah, of course. The jiu-jitsu is viewed in a different way here.
Like, how much is a monthly membership in Poland, for example, jiu-jitsu?
Like $60.
$60,
something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different. It's different money level. Yeah, so I had that idea, and I'm like, in my 3rd day of job, and like I'm totally miserable, staring at the screen the whole day, computer screen. And I went to have like a lunch break, and then I have the message from one gym that they want me for a seminar. I'm like, oh, that's nice. All right, I wrote them back. Yeah, let's do it. And then out of a second, I have a second message. Believe it or not. And I'm like, whoa. So, okay, the seminar thing can be big. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. And then the next day, I just didn't come to work. And I'm like, you know what? It's probably the sign that I shouldn't be here. I should just put more focus in jiu-jitsu and, just like focus on seminars as well. Like how you teach and you know, like there's certain amount of skill you need to have to teach like a good seminar as well. So I was like, all right, that's a sign. I'm out of here, and I stick to jiu-jitsu. And going back to your question, like my parents, when they saw that I'm doing pretty well, they get some comfort in that. And you know, at some point I legalize everything. I opened my company, and I run all my like jiu-jitsu income through my company. So they see like, oh, it's a legit business. All right, he's gonna be fine. But you know, it's hard to blame them because like again, coming from a traditional family, it's not a model of lifestyle that they can understand, and they're not gonna be against it because they're against it, and they want to mold you in like in a shape that fits them. It's more like they're just concerned if you're gonna be able to make it, you know. They don't want you to like end up on the street or something like that, so they're just concerned. So I guess it's probably not an easy thing for any family when their kid is coming and telling them that he wants to do something like this. But not only jiu-jitsu, but maybe like if you want to be like a, I don't know, like artist, musician, and you know, like standing on the side and looking at the any kind of like music industry, jiu-jitsu industry, and whatever, it's like, what's the chances that you're gonna be in like the little percentage of the best people out there, right? Once you're in that industry, you see that there's a spot for everybody, because you know there's so many ways of like paths of career inside jiu-jitsu. But yeah, when you're standing on the side, there's probably just like one thing that you see, like becoming a world champion, and that's it. So what's the chances that you, the guy from Poland, the guy from like a mid-sized city from Poland, you become a world champion? Probably pretty low, right?
Yeah.
You won't bet on it.
Yeah.
So
Impossible almost.
yeah,
Almost
exactly,
impossible.
exactly. But
Especially I think even in those days, you know, I think Alexander Trans, right? He won the European open weight.
yeah,
And so that was like a big deal, I
Yeah,
think,
big
at the
deal.
time.
big deal.
So for you to be like a black belt world champion, especially in those earlier days, like that's like
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
even think about that.
Yeah, but I believe like it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're from. Everybody has a hard path to becoming a world champion or becoming successful in jiu-jitsu. It's like it doesn't matter if you're from Brazil, US, or Europe. Everybody struggles. Everybody struggles. Everybody, at the end of the day, you have to break through, and you have to fight your fight, and you know you have to
With
put the
yourself,
work,
right, too.
and you have to put the work in. You know, so it's not like you were born in this like city in Brazil and right away people are like, this guy's gonna be a world champion, and he's becoming a world champion without struggle. Everybody's struggling, and everybody's struggling in the same way. You know.
Yeah. What year did you start training jiu-jitsu?
2010.
2010. Yeah. Wow. So the worlds have always been in the US, right, for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was different, right, when the worlds were in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
That was early days.
That was a big move.
Yeah, and it became more international, right? I think after that, of course, with YouTube and the technology, right?
Of course,
the
more
streaming,
available.
right? So technology, whereas before you would have to actually even go to Brazil, right, to kind of learn the art.
Oh yeah. I remember like stories from early days, you know, that people, even my coach from Poland, he was like just going to Brazil because it was like a mecca of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. That's where you learned, right?
Yeah, and just, you know, staying there for a couple weeks or a couple months and just getting these secrets, you know.
That's it, yeah.
Because the knowledge wasn't that available. Like you said, there was no technology. And right now with like YouTube and all the platforms like BJJ Fanatics, you got an access to every single competitor and coach out there. and you can just like see that, oh, this guy's good in Spider God. You go to BJJ Fanatics and all his moves are there, right? So you can learn from anybody, any top athlete. And like the athletes are very open to share their things because they found out like, oh, this is a nice way to support my living through jiu-jitsu, like teaching and shooting instructional. So everybody wants to do a good work with that. So, works for everybody and makes learning process way easier.
Change the game, right? Made everything much faster. You can be anywhere in the world almost if you do the work, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
What are some things maybe living in Poland that you felt like you get more access being maybe in the U.S. or being in another more international place?
I think that the biggest change is I believe in many aspects of like life. We grow by interacting with other people, right? So if you have an easy access to like top level coaches, sparring partners, but not only you have like easier access to people from a clothing brands and people doing this and that. So interacting with these people, you get more opportunities like for training better, doing business better, and learning stuff. So I believe this is a big thing, especially for me when I'm staying in the U.S. I'm meeting so many people who achieve great success in life in different areas of life, and this is awesome. It teaches me a lot and gives me a lot of like thoughts, like how can I do my things better? How should I do my things more professional? And gives me ideas as well. Like, like a very simple thing was like observing music industry and seeing how they're running their like concert tours, right? And they're always having some merchandise with them. And they're always setting up at tours like, why would you stay in like LA and fly to each city and come back to LA, right? Doesn't make much sense because you're like losing a lot of time and you're spending so much time in the airplane, like you're doubling your time in the airplane. When you compare it to like making a tour and just going one place to another, and then at the end coming back home, right? I'm like, hey, let's do something like this as well. So I was starting to set up my like seminar tours and, just going from one place to another, teach over like week or two, multiple seminars, and then on top of that making some merchandise, making some cool things that people would appreciate because it's a nice souvenir from a cool event, and worked very well for me. And I just had a great US tour lately. It lasted three weeks, and of course I had like so many cool seminars. I was able to visit gyms that I never been to, meet people that I never met before, but also like I saw so many stuff on the way, places that probably I wouldn't ever get to.
Where did you go? What areas?
So I made
you meant the Midwest, right? A little bit?
Yeah. So I made like a big horseshoe. So I started from California, and we went, me and my family, we went to Arizona.
Yeah, it's amazing you get to share the time with your family as well.
Oh yeah,
mix them both together.
That was the best. So Arizona, New Mexico, Texas.
Where did you go in New Mexico?
We were just passing by
through. Okay.
I didn't had any seminars there, but whenever we had like a free day, we tried to see something cool. So we went to White Sands in New Mexico.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Yeah, and then we went to Texas, and then from Texas we were going up like Arkansas, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and from Wisconsin we started to head back west towards California. So then we went through like Idaho, Nebraska, and then a little bit lower we went to Utah, Nevada, and back to California.
That's amazing.
Was really good. Was really good. We saw a lot of cool stuff like national parks. Like, in my opinion, one of the best things ever in US that you can see is national parks.
What parks did you go to?
So we went to like very unpopular one. It was a hot springs in Arkansas.
Okay.
Which for me was very cool because it reminded me a spot that we have in Poland where you have this like highly mineral water and people go to that spot. It's in mountains and they go to that spot. They're drinking that water and it has like health benefits. So it reminded me, that place reminded me Poland a lot, nature-wise as well. So we went there. White Sands is another national park.
Yeah,
we went to Saguaro in Arizona. That's really cool with all these like huge cactuses and desert. We love desert. We love desert sites, and that was really amazing. And then we went to Badlands in South Dakota. That was really, really good as well. We saw some bisons strolling in the park.
Did you go to Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Is that the same area?
Yeah, like it's
South-
like
it's South
hour
Dakota,
away.
right?
Yeah, South Dakota. It's hour away.
That's cool.
That was.
I've always wanted to go.
Oh yeah, that was on my bucket list, to be honest, because for a long time I didn't even, I wasn't even sure if it's real. You know, I was like,
Right, I wanted to go to see it too with my eyes. You know.
Yeah,
I almost drove like from Fargo. It was like 8 hours. I was like, it's not cool for my family, but just to see it, I was like, is this real? Is this like fake? You know?
Yeah,
CGI or something.
Some people they still don't know if it's real for sure. Like I mean like if you go to like Google, of course you're gonna see pictures. But you know, back in the days when I was like watching American movies and cartoons in Poland, and you see this mountain with big heads, and you're like, you never know if it's just made for movies or is it real. So that was on my bucket list, and it was really cool to visit that. And close to that, you got this like they're making it, so it's still in the making. Crazy Horse Monument.
Okay.
So like the big Indian hero, and they're carving the huge rock, the huge mountain into like a Indian guy on the horse, riding the horse. So, but they still have a lot of work to do that. But it's still good, you know, to see the process and see how it's like coming to life, you know, because the head is there already and you can see a little bit of the horse, and you got those little like miniatures showing like how it's gonna be looking like in like, I don't know, 10 years or so.
You got to do all of it doing jiu-jitsu and being with your family.
Exactly. And the cool thing about those trips is that, you know, I'm kind of like addicted to training. I love training. I love rolling, and I don't like to stay away from the mats for too long. So even if I didn't have a seminar at certain days, I still try to pop here and there for a training. So I was just like surprisingly popping to local gyms. And, you know, it's cool as well because, first of all, these people usually, they don't expect you to come. And it's like a big thing for them. And the second thing is you're connecting with so many new people. And, you know, some of that, like, I met so many nice people on the way, like just popping into the gyms, and I make some friendships. And, you know, I came back for seminars to some of those gyms, and I keep contact with these people very often. It's really good, you know, to like, you know, just meet new people and, you know, connect.
Yeah, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's adds up, right? The years that we're on the mat and the lifestyle, right? And what do you feel like after all these years, you know, you've had some big moments, right? Especially this summer, right? Finally, making history. What are some of your favorite things that you've gotten from the journey?
Yeah, so the adventure itself, the whole thing is it's amazing. You know, just looking back at myself when I was like a blue belt, and I was just like, you know, watching these people rolling in the like fighting in at the big stage, and you're thinking like you would wish to be there and be a part of that, and after like years you're a part of that, and that's amazing, you know. But uh other than that, like just the people you meet, like so many connections, and probably you experience that whenever you need something, there's a jiu-jitsu guy who's in that business area, and he'll do it for you, and you know, it's cool, you know, like whenever you like
The biggest network, biggest
yeah,
worldwide
yeah, yeah.
network.
Exactly, exactly. And it's cool, you know, that you don't have to think like, oh, which specialist I should take. No, you know the guy. Like you're having bad tooth. Oh, I know the guy. He's training. He's training in my gym. He's a dentist. I'm gonna hit him up. You know. So this is cool. Makes life easier
Easier, yeah.
actually.
They're happy to help you. And you're happy to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you can help him maybe on the mat or another
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. And another thing is I was lucky to win some big titles, and you know, the emotions that you feel and just being in that moment, you feel like you're on top of the world. And I told you before, it disappears and it fades very quickly. As soon as you step off the mat, it's starting to fade away. But sometimes you're able to come back to those moments just by, like, you know, like recalling them, and you can feel a little bit of these emotions. You can like still remember how you felt back then, and this is amazing. You know, like you don't know if you're ever gonna feel the same in your life again. Is there anything else that can put you in that state? But just remembering that, having that memory, that it's amazing.
Yeah, we were watching in the corner there, the pyramid. It was Bear from the show roll and AJ, and yeah, we were going back and forth at the sweeps. I couldn't remember, and then you got the mount, and then you submitted, and oh my God, we went crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking? What was in your mind that moment when you submitted? He tapped out. You're like, what was going through your mind?
Just, you know,
What
such
feeling?
a-
What feeling? What was there?
it's a feeling that that all the things you did throughout your life that led you there, they all kind of like paid off. And it's not like you're gonna get a big check and you're like you can retire and you good through the rest of your life. It's not nothing about that. It's just something you've been constantly working towards, and you never knew if it's gonna happen. Like I told you, like at some point I accepted the fact that I may never become a world champion. It finally happened.
Like we were cheering for you.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
you're-
were like, and then, but you never know, right? 'Cause
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You're hoping and you're doing your best to achieve it, but you never know. So it's all like you feel like it all paid off. Like all the bad moments, all the great moments combined, it all paid off, and all your doubts going away. You finally did it. So it's achievable. You were right the whole time. You were right stepping on that path and staying on that path. It just like great, not only the great moment of happiness, but a great moment of like assuring you that all you did throughout your career that led you there was right. You know, was your right decisions and was right people around you supporting you and helping you to get there. And you know, like, yeah, it all paid off, kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
in non physical matter, not the money, not the like, um, you know, like worthy things,
Yeah.
the worthy items. No, it all paid off like
The
inside
heart,
you.
the energy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing,
exactly.
man. Amazing. Amazing. How did you get involved with Shoei Roll? How did you get connected? Because I think that was one of the first times I saw you actually. Was I think with like some pictures, some ads. He was like some Polish guy with long hair, and yeah, like kind of sponsored by Shoei Roll.
I think it was connected to Shuro coming to Europe. So they were opening up Shuro Europe, and they were looking for like, you know, European up and coming athletes, and they hit me up. And the thing about me is I'm trying at least, and I hope I am very loyal. So if I work with somebody, I wanna stay with that brand, with that person, and when they hit me up, I told them like, you know what, I would like to, but I have this brand that I'm working with, um, and I said like, if it's gonna be okay for you that I stay with that brand for like no gi and streetwear, and I just have Shuro gis, that'll be, if that'll be okay for you, I can go. But if not, I have to refuse. And they said like, oh no, this is not how we do the business, and then I refused, and then they hit me up again, and I said the same thing, and they're like, you know what? Let us think about that. And they're like, oh, all right.
This guy has good character. He's worth
Yeah,
it.
and yeah, so we started to work like this, but over the years, I just like fully switched to Cheryl, and yeah, I think like I'm the only guy who actually stayed with Cheryl over these years from that like original European batch of athletes, because like I said, first of all, I like to stay loyal to the people I'm working with, especially if they're like treating me good. And second thing is that I believe that everything has to like develop. So you can't expect that you get into some sort of like business or collab and it will explode from the real beginning. Especially if you're like just an up and coming athlete, you're not like a big star to sign like a huge contract, right? And this was the thing with Cheryl, with our relationship. It was like slowly building up, and when I was like becoming a better athlete and competitor, and I was like loyal to them, our deals got got better as well, you know. And yeah, uh, like just a like simple story of us working together
Yeah,
over the years.
that's great. Yeah, shows your character and who you are, and that's something they look at, right? Too.
Yeah, so I believe that, you know, the thing that you see in jiu-jitsu very often is like people always chasing a better contract. Like not always, of course. I'm generalizing right now, but very often you're gonna see people chasing contracts. Every season they're gonna be like fighting in something else, some other
Some other
brand.
brand, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like uh, it's hard to believe that you think that this brand is the best, because you were saying last year, you were saying that the other brand is the best. So uh, you know, like this is also like the way for me to stay genuine, you know, because I'm backing my words with my deeds. I'm staying with this company because
You
I
believe, yeah.
feel and think that they're the best, and I'm staying with them over like years, you know. And sometimes you know, just you know, being loyal and and staying with somebody and building that relationship over a long period of time, it's much more beneficial than you know, chasing like additional buck.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I think especially in jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my you know, Kenny Florian. Yeah, yeah. So they were you know, friends with Bear forever, and they stayed loyal to him until Tap Out, like, you know, they come in with big dollar amounts, right, for UFC
Yeah.
and stuff, and but they wore the showgirl shirt like into the fight arena until like they paid him like really big money. He's like, oh, Bear, I can't say no to this. When
Yeah.
Bear's like, oh yeah, do your thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah, they understand as well.
But it didn't matter, right? Because they were he's showgirl, you know.
Yeah.
But they like, yeah, take the money, take the money.
Yeah. Something, yeah, they're gonna like, if the opportunity like this presents, they're gonna understand. Like, you know what? At this certain moment, it's the best what you can do for yourself and for your family. Go for it, but the door stays open.
Yeah,
and
and you're still gonna be showgirl after the thing's over.
yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
Man.
It's funny actually how Tap Out actually disappeared from the market.
There you go.
Yeah, but this is how it is with businesses. They coming and
They
going.
come and go. Yeah, that's it. Well, we have at the end of the day is the relationships, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, who was your first professor? Your original professor?
So my first professor is Karol Matuszczak, and that was the guy who brought jiu-jitsu to Poland.
Okay.
So, he was the guy who brought jiu-jitsu to Poland, and he was
in Poznan.
Yeah, he was in Poznan, and he was Aikido guy as well. Before that, he was at the different branch of Aikido that I was. But he was Aikido guy, and I think he was looking for the same thing as I was looking for, like something more legit, something more closer to like real fighting, right? And he started to like research this thing, and UFC was growing in the US, so he started to like bring some videotapes. They were studying the videotapes. He was going to Brazil. He started to bring some Brazilian athletes to Poland as well, and this is how it all.
Was he always Checkmat? Was he with Leo?
No, he wasn't Checkmat. He was actually like kind of like independent.
Okay.
And throughout like transformation of our gym, at some point he just retired from the sport. He said that he's gonna take like a different business career. He was doing some like schooling for the business, for businessmen, and he kind of like departed from jiu-jitsu, and he left the gym to me and my business partner. And at that point, we were like, all right, let's join Checkmat. Why? Because I was working with Alan Finfu before my old coach retired. And I was like bringing Alan for seminars just to like.
He was in Sweden, right?
Yeah, he was living in Sweden, and so it was pretty close. And my goal was to like bring somebody who can upgrade our game. We were very good, and my first professor was very good in teaching the old school game, like pressure, passing, and tight positions, but. I was like, when I got to like a rank of purple belt, I was like, all right, we need somebody to show us a little bit more of like new school positions without any like disrespecting my professor. I asked him like, what do you think about bringing somebody for a seminar? I can deal with that. I can do all the talking and arrangements. And he's like, all right, bring whoever you want. And I heard only good things about Alan Finfu before it happened. So I'm like, oh, so he's in Sweden? That's perfect. Cheap flights, easy to bring him, 1 hour flight, and he's in Poland. And this is how it all started. So even though we haven't been Checkmat, we've been bringing Finfu for seminars pretty regularly. And after my coach retired, he actually said that, like, you know, guys, if you want to go under Checkmat, go under Checkmat. Keep working with Finfu, do whatever you want. And, you know, this is how I become Checkmat.
Cool. And then was Leo already in the U.S. at the time? or did he come?
I think so. I think so. So my whole like Checkmat beginnings was through Finfu, and you know, Leo was always kind of like far away, and I got to know him when I went for Worlds for the first time for the World Camp. But yeah, Finfu was the guy who like introduced me to
Your
Checkmat,
mentor, yeah.
and yeah, kind of like keep an eye on us, and he was like coming time to time to Poland to teach. I was visiting him in Sweden as well, and he's just a great professor, and I appreciate him having in my life so much because he was always very. He was always the guy who like I didn't expect anybody to like, you know, take care of me too much, but he was always the guy like approaching me and like, you know what, I checked your bracket, you got this guy, and this guy, he's playing this, so watch out for that. So he was like, kind of like breaking down my bracket, even though I never like expected him to do that. So
He cared,
yeah, he cared a lot. And the cool thing was some time ago he left Checkmat, but you know, like the friendships we make are bigger than clubs and affiliations and teams. And he was there in the pyramid in the day that I won, so that was great to have him there and have him witness me winning that title.
Did you see the Terere movie?
Well,
On the
no,
Cinemax one?
I didn't. I wanted to see it, but I don't know. I got sidetracked and I forgot. And
You have to do like a VPN and like a whole
exactly.
Yeah, it's a whole process, you know. But I was like, I gotta see this. It's in English too.
Yeah, that was the thing that actually kept me away from it because I'm like, I told my wife, you know what? There's this Terere movie. And I think it's available worldwide.
Yeah.
And we start checking. No, it's not.
Only Brazil.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, then I have to break down this whole VPN thing. And, you know, like I said, I got sidetracked and I forgot. And I end up not seeing the movie. But
Because Finfu's in it, right?
Exactly. He's in it. And good that you actually reminded me about it.
You want to tell the story? Do you want to tell the story about that?
Yeah, that's actually a great story. And yeah, that was the thing I was able to witness at Europeans. Terry got into like a very nasty drug addiction, right? And he was selling his like geese and belts and anything connected to jiu-jitsu to just, you know, have more money for drugs. And he came to Finfu back in Rio when they all lived in
favela.
Rio in the favela, and he offered him his belt for like a small amount of money. And Finfu said that, all right, you know what? I'm gonna buy that belt from you, but one day I'm gonna give it back to you. And in his mind, he thought that he'll put that belt on Terere's grave because he was in such a bad condition. But years after, Terere recovered from addiction a little bit, and he got back to competing. And they've been in the same bracket at the Europeans, and they met at some point of a tournament.
They closed the bracket, right?
I think it was semi-final.
Okay.
I don't know if I think it wasn't a final, but anyway, they met in the bracket, and Finfu handled him his old belt. And he gave him the victory, obviously, and you know that was really cool thing to see, kind of like legendary moment in jiu-jitsu. Yeah, so
he was a student, and then he helped Terere to train for that European.
Exactly. So yeah, great story.
Full circle, right? Like hopefully all of us can hope for.
Yeah. And it was good to see that, you know, even with such a like big troubles in your life, addiction and stuff, you can still recover and come back to the things you love.
Yeah. Well, really excited to finally have you here. You're a busy guy. I messaged you right after the Worlds, and they're like, oh, I have this tour, and I saw you going all over the Midwest, and then we like, oh, we have this date. Okay, great. Friday, so we made it happen. And you're flying tomorrow back to Poland,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. For a little while, I'm coming back. It was a while. I think it's the longest time I stay away from Poland. I've been here for half year right now, and it's like for people like moving to different parts of the world, it's like what's half year, but my goal was always to be mobile, and I was like kind of locked in the US for half year because I applied for my green card, and I got it finally accepted. So yeah, now I can come back and stay a little bit in Poland. Yeah, but I'm gonna be back soon.
Yeah.
So
how is it going back home now after all this, especially after well, you'll see now after the Worlds, right?
Yeah.
But how is it going back home? And
it's cool. I mean, it feels cool to me that I can come afterwards to see my students and my friends first time afterwards, and kind of like even though like in my mind like the whole emotions from Worlds like faded away, and it's like I came back to business, and I'm training the same way I was training before Worlds and stuff. But it'll be good just to like spend time with them and share a little bit of that joy from victory with them, because I know that they're so proud of me, and they have their part in that success as well, because they're like the core of my sparring partners, and
it's your family, right?
yeah, and whenever I'm in Poland, these are the people I'm preparing with for a big tournaments, and very often I was doing my camp there in Poland. Like before Europeans this year, I was staying in Poland, training just with them, and they're the big part of my success. So it would be nice to go there and see how the gym is doing, and see the family as well. So yeah, I'm just happy. This is kind of the life I'm trying to build. I want to be like half time in US, half time in Europe, and let's see how I'm gonna be able to do that. I need to check if I'm gonna be able to lead that life throughout next years, but looks like it's gonna be achievable. And I want to just get the best out of both worlds, because I love US, but on the other hand, I love Europe. It's my home, and in both countries, in both continents, I have things I really love, and whenever I'm gone, I'm missing those things. So for me, that's the life I would like to lead, like a bit of a nomad life, having home here and there.
Well, congratulations on all of your success. And then so happy to see the cherry on top with the Worlds this year. What a story. What a story.
Thank you.
Amazing, man. So, the IBJJF, right? Their goal is not for Jiu-Jitsu to be in the Olympics. We just had the Olympics, right, in Paris. And like the federation in Abu Dhabi, they want it to be in the Olympics. How do you feel about it? You have experience in both of the federations and competing around the world.
So I don't know if my opinion is gonna be the most popular one, but my way of thinking aligns with IBJJF for multiple reasons. And first of all, when you get to Olympics, there's a lot of people in charge of changing the rules, and I don't know if these people are necessarily in a sport or not, but they've changed the rules to make it more viewer friendly. And Jiu-Jitsu in general is not viewer friendly. And maybe we should accept this fact that Jiu-Jitsu is a thing for Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, and maybe there's gonna be some people willing to watch that, but it's not for like general public. But it's totally okay, because there's many sports like that, and the athletes from these sports are doing well. So we don't have to feel like we need to be another soccer or something like that, Another thing is that what I don't like is whenever the sport gets to Olympics, there's so many like national and international bodies making decisions and who's in national team, who's going, who's not going, and
Politics, yeah.
there's a lot of politics, and I see majority of these people as sorry to say, but parasites. So I think that IBJJF model is limiting the amount of parasites in our society. Why? Because it's very like capitalistic. So if I get the money from jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna spend on things that I feel like worthy to spend. So if I feel like you have particular skill that I would like to learn from you, I'm gonna give you money to teach me that skill. But there's not gonna be like anybody between us, like any like government body, manager, or somebody like that, right? And I see it over and over and over again. Like people in charge are the people who wants to stay there for like
power,
money reasons,
Yeah.
power reasons, and to have a good time. And very often they're just consuming funds. And these funds are actually coming from taxpayers. So we as taxpayers, we kind of like support these people, and I just don't agree with that. And another thing is that like it's sad to see that Olympics become a platform for some agendas to push their stuff, which I think sport should be about sport, about competing, about showing who's the best in the area. And there's a big thing about Olympic opening that I don't like. I think it was like a big disgrace, and it goes really against the whole spirit of competing and Olympics. And I think that if we keep it the way we keep it, so yeah, we got that like IBJJF body and federations, which are basically companies. Well, we can say that, oh, they're not paying that well to the athletes. Yeah, some of these federations are paying better, some are paying a little bit less, but in general, jiu-jitsu athletes over time are doing better and better and better. So I feel like if we stick to the model and there's gonna be more federations competing with each other, we're just gonna do better. We're gonna have more benefits. So I like this model, and I think that if we keep jiu-jitsu for ourselves and we're gonna manage jiu-jitsu by ourselves, it's gonna be better for jiu-jitsu. So I'm not looking forward to see jiu-jitsu at the Olympics. Of course, Olympics, it's a great event, and there's a lot of hype behind the Olympics, and yeah, probably it is amazing to win at the event of that caliber. But I don't like the things that are coming with that,
Yeah.
So I would rather stay in a model of federations competing with each other, and then you're basically you're voting with your money. So you agree with this federation and their message and their mission and the way they're handling business. All right, you compete there, and you're promoting that federation with your name, kinda, by showing up on their events. And this is the way this is the way I like, and I agree with this model. And I just hope jiu-jitsu should stay in the hands of jiu-jitsu people.
Yeah, I agree. I remember reading going through the course, the referee course or whatever, and just that's they want to keep it they don't want it to go into the Olympics. And then like what happened with judo, they want the Jigoro Kano's dream was to make it an Olympic sport, and so they took away like the essence of it, and to make it more spectator friendly.
Yeah.
And just like you said, right, like you want to keep the essence of it alive, and doing that would maybe change that.
Yeah, I believe that if we keep changing things too much, or of course, some changes are for good and some changes are bad. And if we keep changing just to please the viewer, we may lose the spirit of jiu-jitsu, because people are like, oh, the jiu-jitsu match should be like shorter time, more action, more this and that. But jiu-jitsu is not like a pit bull fight, trying to just like brawl and stuff. Jiu-jitsu is also about like going slow sometime and cooking your opponent and adding that pressure and forcing him to give up the position, you know. And you know, if we just keep,
It's not fun to watch sometimes.
yeah, it's not fun to watch. Like I said, it's not viewer friendly. But when you know what's happening, then you know, and you can appreciate it. So this is what I think. Like, maybe we have to accept the fact we're not viewer friendly, but it doesn't take away from anything from the sport. We can still do very good. I like to say that look at the ultra marathons. Nobody is watching the ultra marathon from the start to finish, right? Because you're just not able to watch the guy running for like 18 hours or 20 hours, right? But these people are doing pretty well, you know. They're earning pretty well. So maybe let's just accept that we're not going to be viewer friendly. It's going to be maybe more of an inside thing for jiu-jitsu people, but the sport is growing. It's exploding. If you see
outgrowing the Judo Federation, right, and the Newaza Federation they tried to create in Europe.
Oh yeah. If you see the numbers of like competitors, the sport is growing. So let's just keep growing the sport, and the more people we can bring in the sport actively training, the more viewers we're gonna have, and more clients, more connections, and
happier world. It's our contribution, right, to making the world a better place.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just spread jiu-jitsu, and that's it.
You want to give a shout out to some people, and
just want to say thank you to everybody who's like following me on that journey, and giving me good words and strength in my everyday jiu-jitsu lifestyle.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.